Zimbabwe launched the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange in September 2021 to attract foreign direct investment, providing a gateway for companies in Zimbabwe, SADC, and the rest of Sub-Saharan Africa to raise capital in hard currency. The establishment of VFX, as we call it, marked the beginning of the establishment of the International Financial Services Center in Victoria Falls, hence kickstarting the Victoria Falls Special Economic Zone, thus encouraging participation of private sector in productive investments. A few words about climate finance. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, climate change is one of the most pressing issues of our time, with far-reaching consequences for our planet and its inhabitants. It is essential to acknowledge the urgency and significance of climate change and take collective action to address its causes and mitigate its effects. In the same vein, we must explore innovative solutions and leverage the ongoing financing for development climate change financing. Carbon credits are a key component of the international efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and combat climate change. The SADC region is bestowed with forest resources, as 41% of SADC total land area is covered by natural forests that provide timber and non-timber forest products. Hence, by leveraging carbon credits, the region can unlock benefits that support sustainable development, economic growth, and climate resilience, while contributing to global efforts to combat climate change. I mentioned earlier about high levels of debt. Let me say something about debt restructuring. It is apparent that developing countries are grappling with heightened debt vulnerabilities, as indicated by subdued solvency and liquidity indicators. In this regard, debt restructuring initiatives and more effective implementation of debt relief programs, such as the G20 framework, would free up financial resources which can be channeled towards industrialization, driving economic progress and development. In fact, we've argued in other fora globally that the G20 framework needs to be reformed so that when a country enters the process or begins restructuring its debt through this process, all interest payments should be suspended so that they can fund other programs while it is restructuring its debt. Let me turn more broadly to reforming the global financial architecture to support our development, our industrialization. Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the global financial architecture is tilted against developing countries, from a low share of SDR quotas that were examined by the IMF to higher coupon rates in the dual interest rate system. Executive, I can tell you that the Vice President and colleagues, a few years ago, we used to borrow in Zimbabwe at something like 8% per annum in terms of our access to capital. Right now, we're borrowing at about 12% in terms of the debt that we're able to access. And this has nothing to do with the credit rating of the country. And every other country can tell a similar story. It has everything to do with the tightness of credit markets. And this is really prejudicing access to capital for industrialization, for development, and hampering the progress of development that is much needed. The high interest rates is exerting fiscal pressures everywhere, and this needs to be reformed. But also, I must say that the tenure of most of available finance global development assistance needs to be more concessional, it needs to be scaled up, it needs to be more accessible, it needs to be more long-term. We need 40-year capital, not 10-year capital. So the capital should provide a scale, more concessional, more accessible, and more long-term. 4 key pillars for the reform of the global financial system. Therefore, it is imperative, Vice President and colleagues, that SADC should speak with one voice and support the continental voice for the reform of the global financial architecture for the benefit of our industrialization agenda. In conclusion, one of the most urgent tasks is to change the prevailing negative perception concerning the investment climate in the region by providing potential investors with correct and balanced information about the opportunities and risks of investing in African countries. And this includes, Vice President and colleagues, the creation of African-based credit rating agencies that are able to access to assess African risk accurately, regional SADC risk accurately. In the same vein, I encourage member states to continue their efforts to improve their investment climate and economic performance and share the information with respect to investment opportunities, laws and regulations as enshrined in Article 27, which refers to cooperation in promotion of investment of the SADC model bilateral investment treaty. As I conclude, it is imperative that SADC should collaborate and speak with a common voice. A substantial degree of unity of purpose is essential if we are to achieve sustained economic growth and development through industrialization. I thank you